investigation.
So, Robert, was there any inclination that weather today around Manhattan could have been a factor in this helicopter going down there in the Hudson? Our understanding is that it was a pretty average day as far as winds go in the area.
Well, I think it's too early to draw any conclusions like that. So the NTSB will sort all of that out. I know that everybody wants answers. They want to speculate. My training from the NTSB tells me don't speculate. Let's let the facts come out.
You know, just from a rescue point of view, if you can help us out in that area, Mr. Sumwalt, what are the priorities other than obviously trying to get to the people that are on board that plane? But what about preserving evidence at this point?
Well, I do think that the main priority is the preservation of life. That's the main priority. And
what's up, guys? This is live.
There will be survivors, but then they will have the NTSB will have the wreckage recovered. They will defer to the local officials to assist with that. But usually these avionics, these radios, they can survive being in water for a short time, and the NTSB has a good success with being able to extract data from those things, like engine monitoring, health chips, and things like that.
And you spoke to us there about some of those electronics, that data that comes whenever a vehicle goes down in this manner. The importance of a black box. We understand that most helicopters, of course, are going to have them on board. Can you walk us through the importance of what that will do as this investigation moves forward?
Yeah, and like you pointed out, I don't think there's an official crash recorder on the helicopter. But again, the NTSB has been able to get data from a lot of sources that aren't really used for crash were not intended for crash investigation. But even iPhone video and position data can be very helpful. There's now equipment that broadcasts to air traffic controllers called ADSB, and that's constantly putting out speed and altitude and location information. And so all of this will help the NTSB put together a picture of what's happened.
Can you talk to us a little bit, if you can, about just the nuances of flying a helicopter in a metro area such as New York City? What are some of the things that pilots need to be concerned about, aware about, other than, flying, let's say in more open spaces?
Well, that's a good question. I've never flown a helicopter. I was an airline pilot for 2.5 decades, and so that's really where my expertise is. So I would defer that to someone who has actually flown helicopters.
And in addition to that, would this crash investigation, is this going to impede on aviation in the metro area for the next several hours? Can anybody expect to see a change or a difference in takeoffs or landings at airports, like JFK or LaGuardia?
I would not suspect so, and that's a really good question. But this investigation, the wreckage is on. In fact, I'm looking at your video screen right now, your video feed. I'm in Houston, and I'm seeing WCBS on the TV right now. So anyway, I think that no, it will not. It should not impede traffic in and out of the tri-area airports.
All right. And Robert, I'm glad you are looking at the feed here now. So you're seeing the same thing we're seeing from our tower cam there on the Hudson in lower Manhattan there. When you look at this response, you see, at least we saw earlier, a lot of the cruise liners in the area, the tour boats, they surrounded the spot that we believe the helicopter went down at. And then NYPD, of course, came shortly after. What goes through your mind when you look at this response from both law enforcement personnel, rescuers, and then also everyday people who were just out on the water when this helicopter crashed?
Yeah, I was at the NTSB when the U.S. Air crashed or had the forced landing on the Hudson. I was at the board then, and we saw the part of the success of the survivors was because of the just what you mentioned, the ferry boats in the area, local responders. They aided tremendously in the survivability, and so we are hoping that people were able to get out of the helicopter and be rescued.
Mr. Sumwalt, if you could please stand by. We're just going to update our viewers on the situation here and also give some more information on what we've been learning. But please do stand by in case we want to ask you some more questions as we continue our coverage. For those of you that are just joining us, we are interrupting programming here this afternoon to let you know that a helicopter has crashed into the Hudson River this afternoon. The NYPD saying that it happened in the vicinity of the West Side Highway and Spring Street. NYPD also posting on social media here that in this vicinity, this area of the West Side Highway and Spring Street, to expect emergency vehicles and traffic delays in the surrounding areas. So if you're listening to this and you have family or friends, or if you're planning on heading into this area on the West Side Highway, please avoid this area. We do have crews also on the scene. We're going to be covering both the Jersey side and the Manhattan side of the Hudson. And right now, we can also tell you that the NYPD sadly confirming here this afternoon that at least one person has died in this crash, this helicopter crash in the Hudson River. We do not know how many people were in the helicopter at the time of this crash, but we are hearing just now into our newsroom that the NYPD does confirm that one person has died in this helicopter crash this afternoon. Sad news to update you there. But as we get more information, we'll continue to give that to you. In the meantime, you're looking at live pictures of this scene where the crash took place. You can see several boats there in your picture. Some of them obviously rescue boats, others that are too small that I can't really tell what they are. But a big police presence both on the ground, in the water, and also we can tell you that there is an NYPD helicopter up above as well.
And this is, everybody at home, very preliminary in this investigation. This just came down. We are piecing this together, as is the NYPD, as are you guys. As we're getting information, we're telling you as soon as we get it. As we just said, we can confirm this is now a fatal helicopter crash there in the Hudson. And it looks like we might have some new video here just into the newsroom. We're taking a look at what we believe, as we've circled it there, is the helicopter there in the Hudson. And all the videos we had earlier, we couldn't see anything in the water, which led us to believe that maybe that chopper was submerged there in the Hudson, invisible to at least our tower cam. I'm sure they're down in the water. You probably can see better, but if you see here right on your screen, we're circling what we now believe is the helicopter there in the Hudson. NYPD just confirming at least one person is dead in this crash. And this is, of course, a video taken long before anybody else rushed to that area to attempt any form of rescue.
Okay, we're also hearing, in addition, that two other people were pulled actually out of the river.
Alive or deceased?
We do not know their conditions, however. So we know that one person confirmed dead. Two others were pulled out. Their conditions are not known. But I want to reference the video that we were showing just minutes ago that Alan was talking about. And Robert, if you're still on the phone with us and have been listening, you know, the first thing that I noticed when we see the video of the helicopter is how much of it was already submerged in the water. I've covered, these stories before of helicopters going down in the Hudson, also the the Hudson, excuse me. And usually there are like floating devices at the bottom of the helicopter in the landing gear. Can you talk about that at all? And does it strike you that the helicopter is submerged in that fashion, so deep into the river so quickly? All right, it looks like we do not have Robert Sumwalt, but...
Can you hear me okay?
Okay, now we can hear you. Were you able to hear my question?
Yes, I did. I could hear it just fine. And hopefully you can hear me okay. Sometimes for whatever reasons, the floats are not activated. You'll remember the case of the Fly Nyan crash that happened back around 2018. And there was a case where the floats one of them did not inflate properly. So the helicopter rolled over on its back. And so it just depends if the helicopter even had the floats And if they had them, did they activate as they should have? So without the floats, obviously the helicopter will sink.
Is it required, though, those floats, are they required to be on a helicopter for this very reason?
I really don't know the answer to that.
Okay, it's all right. Thanks for being honest.
Yeah, no
That's why we ask these questions.
Absolutely. And Robert, you referenced that Flight 9 crash back in 2018. I understand that there was a component of that crash that may or may not have had to do with the safety harnesses the people on board were wearing. They're meant to keep you safe, of course, while you're in the air, but they can be a problem if you take on water and have a water landing or crash in this instance. Talk to us about that component. I understand that it's always required that pilots in these companies, and we do not know what company this helicopter is with, of course, what organization, they're required to show you how to unbuckle yourself and get out of that harness in the event of a crash in water like this.
Well, that's right. An ordinary seatbelt, may not be ordinary to a passenger because they're not like the seatbelts in your car. It's a 4 or 5.
Oh, I forgot I had the radio on.
You got shoulder harnesses come over your shoulders, then you have the lap belt, and then sometimes one coming up between your legs, and you have to rotate a buckle to get those off. And if you've not really practiced that, it can be, you're going to maybe panic when you can't figure out how to get out. I just got off of an airliner about an hour ago, and I always pick up the emergency briefing card and read it and commit it to memory, even though I fly about 4 or 5 times a week. So know how to get out of something if you need to. Don't wait until you are in that situation to try and figure it out.
Phenomenal advice.
All right, so for the people that just joined, this is live right now, what we're watching. And there was a helicopter crash in the Hudson River in New York. Now, they confirmed one person deceased, but then they also said that 2 people, seems like 2 other people were pulled out of the water, but no information as to whether they're alive or deceased. So kind of waiting to see what they say about that. Let me show you some videos real quick. There's some I saw a video on Facebook that looked real. I have to double check it and see, but this is the one that's going around everywhere. You can see the helicopter's already submerged and looks like it's upside down, maybe afloat upside down. It's a Bell 206L4 Long Ranger IV. Trying to find out what kind of helicopter this was. It says we're following reports of a helicopter. This is from Flight Radar. Crash, I'll read it on the side, into the Hudson River between New York and New Jersey. Between New York and New Jersey. At this time, based on the ADS-B data, the location and SAR activity, we believe that the aircraft involved to be N216MH, a Bell 26L4 Long Ranger IV, or 4. I said IV, but that I guess I meant to be 4. Wow. I don't know what's going on because we were literally just live about the Reagan Airport where these 2 planes clipped each other, and there was some Congress on board, and a lot of people upset. And now we have the situation where there's actually deceased people. You can see the helicopter right here upside down. See how it's like floating? And a pretty big response. Let's check.
We have right here from the scene, Alan and Christine.
Allie, I just want to make sure and reiterate so that we can make sure that we have all of our facts correct. Your sources were telling you that this was a recreational helicopter and that a child may have been on board.
That's what we're hearing in the initial report, that there may have been a child on board. Unclear the total number of passengers or crew that was in that helicopter, but at this hour we know at least 1 person has died. At least 2 people have been pulled out. Unclear the condition of the second person.
And were your sources able to tell you where this helicopter took off from?
No, I don't know that at this hour. I'm going to try to get that information, Christine.
Okay, Allie, I know you just got to the scene. Great work gathering what you have been able to so far. We'll let you get back to work. Thank you, Allie.
That's
All right,
crazy,
back here
man.
live at the scene, the rescue scene that is still very active. You can see the NYPD and FDNY boats that are there surrounding the crash site. The site this afternoon, sadly, of another helicopter crash in the Hudson River. CBS News New York can confirm one person has died. 2 others were pulled out of the water, their conditions not yet known. Here we can see some still pictures of the submerged helicopter. It looks like it's actually upside down.
Yeah, and that might be the flotation devices you were referencing earlier. And, you know, sometimes they get capsized. You're looking at the bottom. That's the landing gear of this helicopter as it sits, like you said, possibly upside down there in the Hudson. I want to also, we were referencing, we just heard Allie say one of these people on board might have been a child there as we take a look at look at this massive FDNY and NYPD response there right around.
This is Pier 40.
Pier 40, yes, Pier 40 there on the West Side Highway. So it looks like we have at least one person dead, 2 pulled from the water, one of which out of those 3 could have possibly been a child, as we continue to build and get more information and a better look at exactly what's going on there down in a lower Manhattan. Another look now with these new pictures just into the newsroom of the helicopter. These are our first images that we've gotten of the physical helicopter. Before this point, we were unable to see anything above the water.
Absolutely. And I'm just thinking of the people that are involved in this here today as the story continues to unfold, and the human factor of what we're learning as these details are confirmed by our news crews and our crews here back in the newsroom. But it sounds as though at this point, according to sources, this was supposed to be an afternoon of family fun.
Yeah.
A family, it appears, hired a helicopter to take them on a tour of the city, and somehow something went terribly wrong, and that helicopter crashed in the Hudson River. It never, ever, it always hits me when we cover these types of stories that there are real people involved.
So one time I posted in the chat that Breaking 911 said that witnesses saw the aircraft split in half. And I thought that's what I read that too. I don't know where. I don't know if it was X or Facebook. I did see the same thing, that supposed witnesses that saw that it just break apart midair. So they're saying one confirmed deceased and 2 other people were pulled out of the water. They didn't say whether they were alive or deceased. And now they're saying it's possible that a child was on board and that this was like a recreational helicopter, I guess. Like, you go out, I want to ride a helicopter, go out for fun, see the sights, and this is what happened.
And we just got some new information as I was speaking there. 2 adults and a child, I believe.
3
Is that
children.
correct? 3
3
children.
children.
2
2
adults and
adults,
3 children
3
on board.
3?
2 adults and 3 children were on board this helicopter, as we now know. So you talk about a time of family fun on a Thursday afternoon. This was probably an incredible ride there alongside 2 adults, 3 children on board that helicopter that then turned into this tragedy here. I've been on one of these tour helicopters before, overlooking Manhattan. It's phenomenal. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like being able to see New York City from the air. And even when you buckle up and you trust the company and you know what's going to happen and you trust in that flight, you can never be 100% sure.
Absolutely not. And we cannot tell you whether or not if one of those adults was the pilot. So we're still looking to confirm if, in fact, there could have been 6 people on that helicopter. Okay.
So at least 5.
At least 5 right now. We, again, do not know if one of those adults that was on that flight was the actual pilot. So it's very well possible there could have been 3 adults. But right now we do know 2 adults and 3 children.
and we don't know which of those are the deceased that we've been notified of. If you're just now joining us, CBS News New York is monitoring a situation unfolding right now live on the Hudson River down in Lower Manhattan on the West Side Highway right around Spring Street. We have confirmed that a helicopter has gone down there in the Hudson River, and our sources and reports are telling us this was a tour helicopter that was likely out sightseeing the New York City skyline and surrounding areas. It went down there right around, what was it, Pier 26 there on the West Side Highway. At least 5 people were on board. We've been told at least 2 adults, 3 children were on board, confirmed to be on board that helicopter when it went down. 2 people have been pulled out of the Hudson so far. 1 person has been confirmed dead. That all coming from the NYPD. This is a live image now from our tower cam, taking a look at it. And I do believe as we continue to learn information, we're sending our reporters out all over the scene to bring you guys more information. Alicia Reed right now is live at the scene. We're going to go to her.
She's in Jersey City. Alicia, what have you been able
That's right,
to
Devlin.
learn?
We just arrived, Christine, we just arrived on scene here. Lots of onlookers trying to figure out exactly what happened. We did speak to one witness who said he was in his apartment at the time that this crash happened. He heard the loud bang, looked out his window, and saw 2 choppers going down into the water. If you look right behind me, you can see that yellow chopper right in front of one of the boats there. He says that's a part of one of the helicopters that went down. And right across from that, where you see other boats, you see the one that's blue and red or black and red, and a few others in the water. He said the other chopper went down a little further away. Another lady that we spoke to said she saw the tail of one of the choppers spinning before it went down. So a lot of different accounts here. We did see while we were on our way here, an ambulance being escorted by a police car. We have witnesses here that say they saw 3 bodies being pulled out of the water. None of that is confirmed by NYPD or New Jersey as of yet, but we did see at least one ambulance being escorted by police car. And of course, still a very, very active scene out here this evening as people are trying to figure out exactly what happened. But we did speak to one man that said he was all the way in Hamilton Park, heard the sound, and came all the way over here to find out what happened, because clearly there's something happening here. It's just still too soon to know exactly what is going on. But for now, we know there's at least 1 chopper in the water. We can see a part of it right there sticking out. We're waiting to hear more detailed information from authorities, but for now, that is the latest information that we have. As soon as we get any more, we'll bring it right back to you.
Okay, Alicia, thank you. We want to go now to Jennifer Bisram. She is at Pier 40, where we saw that massive police and fire presence on the pier. Jennifer, what can you tell us?
Hi, Christine. Yeah, as you mentioned, we're here at Pier 40, and basically all you see here are emergency crews. If you look closely on the Hudson, on the New Jersey side, you can see also emergency crews there as well. This has been like an ongoing situation here within the last maybe half hour. Emergency crews have been all down the West Side Highway, and we talked with police just a short time ago. They confirmed to us 1 person did die from that helicopter crash. Inside that helicopter, we're told there were at least 2 adults and 3 kids. Right now on the New Jersey side, there is a search and rescue effort taking place right now, that coming from the FDNY. And if we can have Sean show you again, look closely here on the Hudson. You can see lots of NYPD officers, search and rescue crews. You can also see this area here blocked off. Again, you can see more EMS, first responders, FDNY, as well as reporters. We've been talking with people here as well. None of them that we talked with actually saw what happened, but as you can imagine, they are just in shock. And of course, as we get more information, we'll certainly bring it to you. But again, we're being told that that helicopter crash went down in the Hudson around 3:15 this afternoon. 1 person presumed dead at this point. At least 3 children, we're told, were on that helicopter as well. Of course, as we get more information, Christine, we are going to bring that to you. But again, you can hear the choppers from up above right now. You can see the crews there on the ground, and this is an all-out search right now to find out, to rescue those people who were on the helicopter and essentially figure out what exactly went wrong here.
All right, Jennifer Bisram reporting live for us on the latest from Pier 40 as we continue our live coverage of a helicopter crash in the Hudson River on this Thursday afternoon. Let's go back to former NTSB Robert Sumwalt. Robert, we're hearing now that there were 2 adults, 3 children on this helicopter. One of our reporters said that a witness told her that they heard a noise, a boom, something to that effect. What are your just initial thoughts on that? Would that sort of noise happen on impact to the water when the helicopter hits the water?
Well, what we do know is that witness reports can be awfully helpful, but we always want to correlate that with other information. So the NTSB will take all of that together, witness reports, the physical data, the evidence that they can get extracted from the data chips on the aircraft, and put all that together. So I'm not saying the witness was wrong, but I'm saying that sometimes that information is not 100% accurate.
Absolutely. And our reporters are out there continuously talking to people, as are we. And like you just said, a lot of the times people might think they saw something that doesn't necessarily line up with exactly what happened. But we're bringing the most accurate information to our viewers as possible here. A question for you, Robert. In the moments before this helicopter crashes into the Hudson, I'm sure there had to be panic, unfortunately, of course, but some efforts by the pilot, whoever was in control of the helicopter, to revert, to fix this collision course. As someone who has the experience that you do, what is standard protocol once you realize something is wrong and you're heading for a water landing as this helicopter has here?
Well, that's a really good question. The first rule is fly the aircraft. Do whatever you can to keep the aircraft flying. Sometimes accidents happen because somebody gets distracted. They're dealing with an emergency and they're not actually monitoring what the helicopter or the airplane is doing. So that's the first rule. They say aviate, navigate, and communicate. So if there was no distress call, for example, that would be because communicating to ATC is the last of those priorities. So, again, this is going to be a jigsaw puzzle. The NTSB is going to take it all. They're going to take all the evidence. They're going to lay it all out. Maybe not physically lay it out, but they're going to sort it all out. And their most important goal is to find out what happened so they can keep these things from happening in the future.
And I want to make sure that, Robert,
video.
You have been looking at our CBS News.
Wow. Okay, there's video. Oh, shit. All right, hold on, guys. Wow. Oh, my God. It's like the whole tail is just gone. Look at that. Look at all the pieces. Is that pieces? There's pieces in the air for falling. Look at that. The tail's gone. Maybe that's the sound that they heard. The helicopter hitting the water. Wow. That's just crazy, man. Wow.
New York live.
So it's completely upside down. There's a number of reasons for that, and as we saw in the Flying Nyan situation, one of the floats did not activate. In this particular case, if what we're seeing is what we think we're seeing, it does appear that both the floats did inflate. But that's all going to have to be determined. If it had floats, why did it flip over? So a lot of unanswered questions right now. But the unfortunate news we heard from your broadcast was that apparently there have been fatalities, and certainly our thoughts and prayers go out to those who've been affected by this tragedy.
Absolutely. There's always the human factor to these stories, and it's something that is first and foremost on our mind as we cover this accident, Robert. I am curious. given your expertise and the time that you spent investigating crashes, the idea, I would assume, for these floating devices is to keep the helicopter afloat in water landing.
That's a good question. I don't have the answer right off the top of my head.
Okay. Robert Sumwalt, we really do appreciate what you've been able to share with us. We know that you're in Houston and you're watching the pictures just as we are as we broadcast them as they happen. These are live pictures of the helicopter that is now submerged, currently upside down in the Hudson. I know it's challenging for you, Robert, to give your perspective when you're speaking to us in another state, but we do appreciate your patience and your time. Let's go back to Jennifer Bisram now, continuing our team coverage. Once again, she is at Pier 40, where there is a very heavy presence from rescue personnel on the Hudson side of the river. Jennifer, have you been able to learn anything more about what took place here this afternoon?
I can find it.
I just got off the phone with FDNY, Christine, and they say things are still fluid. They're trying to get the numbers right now. They're trying to search and rescue team.
This is crazy. So this video here, you kind of see like, let me see the very beginning. The chopper, you can't, it's already hit the water, I guess, but you see like the blade coming down to the blade. That is crazy, man. He says, anybody alive? 3 of 5 dead.
NYPD all here at this hour, just sitting here trying to figure out exactly what happened. If you look here on the Hudson, you can see lots of emergency crews there as well. Also, off of the water, there are lots of search and rescue teams here as well. We've seen a lot of EMS workers with bringing stretchers closer to the water. This area is blocked off to us right now. But again, I'm not sure if Sean can show you there. There are dozens of FDNY and EMS crews there. And like I mentioned, they have been bringing stretchers to this area right now. But again, it's still most of the efforts that are taking place right now, from what we understand, is on the New Jersey side. But again, they are here and ready. I did ask police if there is going to be a press conference here soon, and they tell us one will take place, but it will take place, of course, as they get more information. But again, sad day here on the Hudson. A helicopter crashed into the Hudson here around 3:15 this afternoon. At least 5 people on board and at least 1 person presumed dead. We'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Jennifer, thank you. Yeah, 5 people on board, at least 1 confirmed dead, like you said. At least 2 adults, 3 children, 2 people pulled from the water, but we're working on learning their condition. Jennifer, we'll check back in with you here in a short little bit. We do have another reporter out right now, Alicia Reed, who we just heard from a little while ago. She spoke to, I wouldn't say witnesses, but people who undoubtedly heard a loud bang when this helicopter might have gone down. Walk us through what you're seeing now and if you have any new information.
Yeah, that's right, Devlin. Right now, I just checked the temperatures out here. The real feel is right above freezing. So it is extremely, extremely cold out here. We just finished talking to one woman who was running at the time, preparing for a half marathon that's happening this weekend. And she said she saw the chopper, just the tail spinning out before it fell into the water. She wasn't sure at the time what was happening, if it was some sort of attack or what was happening. She got scared, called her husband. He told her to go home, but she's still here, clearly still trying to figure out, as a lot of people are out here, what happened. Right now we can see in the water there's still a portion of a chopper just like barely sticking out of the water. Lots of emergency services here, a lot of choppers circling the area, investigating. Christine, we did see on our way here one police car escorting an ambulance out of here. We're not sure what was happening, who was in there, and what the story is behind that. But what we do know right now is that there is a chopper still sitting in the water. There are parts floating around. People in the neighborhood are explaining to us that they did at least hear and see one chopper spinning out before it fell into the water. And that man we spoke to a little earlier when we first got on scene said he actually saw from his apartment window two helicopters colliding. Again, we're still trying to figure everything out as we're standing here.
Yeah, so there's a guy that was claiming he saw 2 helicopters crashing. So I'd like to see if they can confirm that. They're saying 2 adults and 3 children confirmed on the helicopter.
The cold temperatures and the elements will make it for them, but and visibility is really poor here as well. The skies are quite ominous, but we are standing around waiting to find out from authorities exactly what is happening. And of course, as soon as we get any additional information, we will bring it right to you.
Okay, Alicia Reed reporting for us from Jersey City, the Hudson, or the New Jersey side of the Hudson there, with the latest on the situation from her point of view. Jennifer Bisram, let's go to her. She is at Pier 40. She has some new information for us. Jen, what have you been able to learn?
Hi, Christine. Yes, as Alicia mentioned, the rain is starting to come down here right now. And, again, we confirmed that there are at least 5 people who were on that helicopter, at least 3 children and at least 1 person presumed dead at this hour. Again, take a look at the scene here. You can see all the way down on the Hudson here, closer to the New Jersey side, lots of EMS and rescue crews, search and rescue crews here at this hour. And off the water as well, you can see they have roped off this area. NYPD has blocked off this area. And if you look further down, you can see past the reporters that are all there are lots of FDNY and EMS crews. We've been watching FDNY workers bring in stretchers, and the stretchers have been coming through and going closer to the water there. But at this hour, we have not seen anyone specifically taken out and rescued from the water. Again, we talked with the NYPD a short time ago, and they tell us there will be a press conference to let us know exactly what is happening. But they too say that this is a fluid situation. They are still trying to understand exactly what happened, exactly how many people were on that helicopter, and how many they were able to rescue from out of the water. The FDNY, we talked with them a short time ago as well. They say they too are still trying to get all the numbers together.
Thank you for Jane for tagging me in this. And so there's this report that supposedly Fox News host Martha McCullum says a helicopter down in the Hudson River. I can report that law enforcement sources that a child is being worked on by CPR.
Here, a helicopter down in the Hudson River. I can report from law enforcement sources that a child is being worked on with CPR by the FDNY who are on the scene. Every effort is being made to save these individuals who were involved in this helicopter crash. We're going to have more, as we said. Alexis McAdams is on her way to cover this story for us. Continuing.
So she's claiming that a child is being worked on CPR.
Side down on the Jersey side of the Hudson near Hoboken.
Ellen, what's up?
Massive police and fire presence on both sides of the Hudson. You can see here from Pier 40, the emergency response there. It is exactly the same situation on the New Jersey side. We can tell you, we have confirmed there were 2 adults and 3 children on the helicopter. We do know right now that 1 person, unfortunately, has died. 2 others were pulled from the helicopter. We are still waiting to confirm their conditions. So there are still 2 people. Okay, now, excuse me, I'm just hearing from our newsroom that there were actually 6 people on that helicopter. So we originally learned that there were 5. Now we are learning that there was 1 more person. So a total of 6 people and at least 3 children. So it appears as though that there were 3 adults and 3 children, which is what we suspected earlier in our coverage. Please bear with us because this information is coming in every second as this story unfolds. But here is video that you're looking at right now. And in that circle is the wreckage of that helicopter. It is now submerged underneath the water. The flotation devices appeared to have.
They're saying 6 people dead?
Well,
let me look.
We don't know that yet.
Yeah, true.
But we did see them on the skids that Pat Sumwalt did reference as well. But those flotation devices are meant to be there for situations as this.
New York Associated Press, 6 people have died on helicopter crash, AP sources say. So this one report is saying that they're all deceased, 6 people.
Now, one worry that we have
6 people
that has
confirmed on board
developed since the time that we have gone on the air is the weather. We are expecting rain here this evening.
6 people dead,
obviously, that is going to hinder the rescue operation.
Jeez.
And also, we're working up against the time of sunset. So we are hoping to hear from FDNY and NYPD, also the emergency crews over on the New Jersey side, to hopefully get an update that everyone has been recovered, at least from the wreckage.
Fox Tampa 2, multiple sources are saying now that helicopter crash, Hudson River, at least 6 dead. Sources say at least 6 dead. Oh, wow. Okay.
Water, you're talking about a sudden immersion in near freezing temperatures. If we're going to get the exact temperature, 46 degrees out there, you immediately go into shock. Your body goes into shock. Your heart rate rises very quickly. Your breathing shortens. And that is while you are dealing with being likely strapped into a helicopter, as we heard Robert Sumwalt talking about today, because that is not an easy buckle to unbuckle with that submersion effort. Like you said, Christine, 6 people, at least 3 children. We're assuming, we're believing 3 adults, the pilot, as we've been confirmed. And we're also now aware that New York City Mayor Eric Adams is there on scene along with his team.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. So supposedly here, tagged from ABC 7 says that pilot, 2 adults, and 3 children were on board. So that's 6. Law enforcement sources tell Eyewitness News the family members were tourists from Spain.
This dive team preparing to go into the water here right next to this upside down helicopter.
And what's interesting, and I don't know, this reporter said 16 minutes ago, Eyewitness News, there are 5 victims, adults and kids. 3 of the 5 are dead. That's what she said. I don't know. So it seems like, is there conflicting reports?
To my right, as I'm heading south to look at the water. And if I'm going to give it a rating of how choppy things look, it actually looks pretty good today. I'm just thinking of the other day when we had that really windy Tuesday, and it was very, very choppy there in the river. I mean, it's always choppy, but I think in terms of what it could be, I think it could obviously be a lot worse. But you can see the diver, the rescue diver there right next to the wreckage. You can see his head bobbing up. He has his oxygen mask on, and it looks as though that he is going to go down to go into the cabin of that helicopter. We can tell you that we now have confirmed a total of 6 people were on board. 3 adults, 3 children, from what we believe. So there have been 1 body pulled, confirmed dead, 2 others that were pulled. We do not know their conditions, so that leaves 3 more recovery, rescues that need to take place.
And some new information we just got into the newsroom here as our teams continue to piece this one together as we give it to you live on air. The mayor's office is speaking on where this helicopter took off from. It appears as though it took off from Lower Manhattan, and we're not sure how far along its route it was before it ended up here in the Hudson. But these are new details that are coming in. I believe we've also got a statement from the FAA in response to this crash, and they're saying, and I quote, A Bell 206 helicopter crashed and is submerged in the Hudson River in New York City. The number of people on board is unknown at this time. That's coming from the FAA. CBS News New York is slowly piecing it together. How many people we believe may have been on board? At least 6, as we know, 3 adults, 3 children with this helicopter. They went on to say the FAA and the National Transportation Safety Board will investigate. The NTSB will lead the investigation and provide any updates as we get them. So that is where we are piecing this together right now. A Bell 206 helicopter is a very familiar helicopter to many of you. If you've looked up in the air, you've seen them. They frequent the Manhattan skyline. It's a 2-blade, single and twin engine helicopter. It can be one of either. We know this was a tourist helicopter, a sightseeing helicopter. So that is where we're getting the information about. This could have been a family. This could have been a
Auntie
sightseeing
Sherry
tour.
donated $4.99 through Super Chat.
Thank you, Auntie.
New York City, looking to see it from the air. And now we're stuck with this tragic image of this helicopter upside down in the Hudson. We can see the head of the diver that went into the water there. He's been submerged for a couple of minutes now. He looks like he's coming back up. CBS News New York is still trying to work to get information on the exact number and condition of those on board this helicopter.
I don't think it was a second jumper either.
Right now we want to get to CBS meteorologist Nikki Nolan. She lives on the Jersey side of the Hudson, Jersey City to be exact. Nikki, thanks for joining us as we continue our coverage here. I understand that you can actually see the wreckage from your apartment.
Hi, yes, I can. It looks like a bunch of emergency crews, both on land and on the water, that are overseeing the wreckage of the helicopter crash. It looks like there are some ambulances and, of course, local media that are all along. Basically, these piers and this big barrier that...
They're reporting 6 people deceased, according to everybody's citing, seems to be citing 6 people. I'm sorry, AP News. I think Associated Press, they're saying 6 people deceased. Everybody's deceased. So, damn. Crazy, 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 man. Jeez. By the way, if you're on Discord, I'm getting reports. I'm being told Discord's down. It looks like it's working for me, but I don't know. I'm seeing multiple people saying it's down, in case you're on there or wondering. Ah, man, so sad, though.
Right now?
Yeah, so it's actually really cold. It looks like in the 50s and 40s for the actual Hudson, and then we actually have some rain that is coming in, so that's going to interfere with anyone who is doing any ongoing rescues, and of course, the crews that are in the water itself. 50s and 40s are nothing to sneeze at, so it's definitely colder for anyone that's involved out there.
And we're looking live right now, Nikki, at some of the pictures that you took from your apartment here, showing the moments immediately after the helicopter went down, before law enforcement, NYPD, FDNY even got to the scene there. I know you just walked us through a little bit of the weather and the water temperatures. Can you talk to us about, on a large scale, the winds?
So somebody here made a post, and I'll show the videos again for those that missed it, but you can see that these rotor blades were fully detached as the helicopter. How does that even happen? Hudson River helicopter crash video shows the rotor blades were fully detached from the fuselage, but still spinning. This likely was not engine failure. Yeah, how does this happen?
At like 10 miles visibility-wise, but it's mainly the rain that's going to start picking up here soon, and then the winds are definitely kicking up as.
They're saying earlier video shows the pilot pulling hard maneuvers. Great way to shear the rotor. That's what I was wondering too, because I want to see if I could find that video. There were some people saying that before this happened, he was seen flying erratic. I wonder if something was happening or... That's crazy. And you can see the pieces with pieces. See if I can find another video.
Hudson River near Hoboken. You can see dive crews there. We saw one of those divers actually go under the water. He had his scuba gear on and he disappeared to take a look inside the cabin. We know that there are still 3 people unaccounted for, a total of 6 people confirmed to be on this helicopter. We have information on 3 people, and we're still waiting to learn more about the other 3 that have not yet been found.
Okay, so this is the video they're talking about that supposedly was seen flying erratically. Oh. Clouds. That's what they're saying. Let me see. He's done like a straight dive almost. What is this over here? Wow. What is that? They're saying this is bullshit. Maybe that's the video everybody thinks is in question, because I keep hearing about this erratic flight. But I see more people posting this same clip, but it didn't look that foggy to me. I don't know.
Confirmed that the 6 people that were on board have all died.
Oh, man.
As you can see here, divers are still working valiantly to recover the other bodies that remain in this helicopter that is now upside down, submerged into the Hudson. We are overwhelmed with a lot of details and with emotion, because there's always a human factor to the stories that we cover, and we would like for you to know that we do not take these types of stories lightly. This is not just another day at the office. Helicopter safety around the city has been discussed in the past. We don't know the circumstances of this helicopter journey this afternoon, so you know, it's
yeah, that one video, we're going to have to get some confirmation and see if anybody else can confirm. I see multiple people posting it, but I honestly don't know if that's the same helicopter, because sometimes people will post something to get a bunch of views that looks similar. So we're going to have to, it does look like it's in New York, and it does look like it's the Hudson River. I don't know. It didn't look like it was that foggy. So definitely want to try to confirm that clip. But, you know, sadly, they're saying all 6 dead, including children. So that's really sad. I just, man, you couldn't catch me. I used to want to get on a helicopter. So part of me still almost does a little bit, just because of like the chase and stuff. Like if I was given the opportunity one day, but at the same time, man, I don't want to be on that.
6 people dead from that helicopter crash into the Hudson around 3:15 this afternoon. There is a massive police presence here at this hour, and if you take a look right now, you can see the NYPD boat there pulling up to the pier. We're at Pier 40 right now, where more rescue teams are expected to go inside. Again, most of the activity happening on the New Jersey side of the Hudson River at this point, but you know, we heard the mayor was here just a short time ago, and again, we're still learning and waiting to get more information exactly as to what happened here at 3 o'clock this afternoon that made that helicopter crash into the Hudson. As we get more information, we'll certainly bring it to you. But again, a massive search and rescue efforts, police, FDNY. We've seen stretchers here. FDNY takes stretchers to go back and forth here closer to the water. Again, that we're told the mayor was here. We did talk with the NYPD, and we're told a press conference is expected here. Still unclear when that will happen, but of course, as we get more information, we will certainly bring that along to you. But again, a very sad day here on the Hudson. Christine and Alan.
Tragic day for sure, Jennifer. Thank you for that update. As soon as we get that, details on that press conference. We'll be sure to come right back out to you. I'm sure they're going to have some more information. We've got the information, though, that, like we have been telling you, 6 people now confirmed dead there in the helicopter crash on the Hudson River. All the bodies have been recovered. We are able to confirm here at CBS News New York. So this is no longer a search and rescue mission. This is now a death investigation. This is now an investigation into what caused this helicopter to go down, something that we do not know yet, something that officials do not know yet as well. Out of the 6 people on board the helicopter, 1, of course, was the pilot. All 6, of course, have perished here. We can also tell you the body of the pilot was recovered inside the aircraft specifically. That's a detail we're able to tell you here at this hour. And again, the question now remains, how in the world does something like this happen? How does a tour with children on board end up with 6 fatalities there in the Hudson River? Christine, you did a wonderful job at speaking on how the humanity component of this story does not fall lightly on anyone here at CBS. I'm sure it doesn't fall lightly on you all at home either. When you think about one pilot waking up to do his job, to sightsee around New York, and who we believe could be 5 potential tourists, whether they're from New York or not, looking to see this beautiful city, ending up there in the water in the way, in the manner that they have is a tragic update that I'm sorry that we had to bring you here. We've got Lori Bordenaro, one of our other reporters, out right now, I believe is in Jersey City. Lori, what can you tell us? I know this has not gone the way we wanted it to go here this evening. Is there any new information from your standpoint?
Yeah, and I can tell you we've been talking to a lot of people here at the pier, and a lot of people very frightened when they heard that noise from the helicopter. They describe hearing a very loud noise over the river. One witness telling us that he actually saw the helicopter go down pretty quickly into the water. Another child tells us he was walking home from school. He saw some parts in the river, which was really, really scary. Right now, let me just kind of show you what's happening here. You can see, and you've probably been looking at this for quite some time now, the harbor units here on the water, huge emergency response across the pier from where we're standing. You can see the ambulances, a lot of crews out there still in the water. Again, this investigation expected to go on for quite some time, but take a listen to some of the witnesses we talked to just a little bit earlier.
No soundbite.
And again, we don't have that sound at this time, but we've been talking to a lot of people here. And again, what they're telling us is they heard a very loud noise. They actually saw that helicopter come down into the water, describing it as coming down pretty quickly. And a lot of people here really just not knowing what that sound was. And of course, now hearing what has happened here, a lot of people extremely sad, a very sad situation here at this hour. Back to you.
Lori, Alicia reported the same thing from witnesses that she spoke to about this noise. I know that the interview didn't roll; it was supposed to. But how did your witness describe what it sounded like?
Yeah, well, Christine, living here on the river, a lot of these people are so used to these helicopters coming, going, all day long. They're used to hearing them, but this one they described as hearing something sort of different, like they knew something was wrong, but didn't exactly know what. And again, we now know what had happened with the helicopter plummeting into the river.
Okay, Lori Bordenaro reporting for us from Jersey City. Thank you for your report, Lori, and updating the information that you have been able to gather so far. So it sounds as though that there have been plenty of witness accounts that obviously investigators will also be gathering here as this investigation now continues, and the cause of what took place over the Hudson River this afternoon is looked into. But it seems as though that the witness reports that we have heard, at least so far, many of them reporting that there was a noise, an unusual noise, not the type of regular helicopter noise that they're used to from these various helicopters that fly almost daily in this area. And then another witness reporting that they saw the tail spinning and then the crash take place.
Yeah, and that tailspin component is interesting. Of course, the NTSB will be able to tell us more about the cause of this wreck, but that could take weeks, that could take months. It could be a while before we have all the answers that we're looking for here today. If you happen to just now be joining us here, 4:51 p.m. on this Thursday, April 10th, we can confirm 6 people have died in a helicopter crash on the Hudson River here in the city. We've got reporters all around the area who are consistently bringing us new information, new updates. We've been on air for a little over an hour.
Crazy, man. It's too much.
As much as we can. Whatever we know, whatever we've been told, as long as we're able to confirm it.
Too much.
CBS News New York is doing our absolute best to keep you guys updated. We're still waiting, I believe, the next big component for this investigation is going to be this press conference that we are going to carry here on CBS as soon as they begin speaking. Jennifer Bisram is right there where we believe the NYPD or the FDNY or maybe a joint force of both are going to be giving us an update on how something like this can happen and what they know. We've already been in communication with every law enforcement agency that there is involved in this. Now, what we know is a recovery mission of this helicopter that went down, a tourist helicopter that was out sightseeing in between New York and New Jersey there on the Hudson, went down with 6 people on board, all 6 confirmed dead here. New York, we are able to tell at least 3 children were on board that helicopter, and the pilot was found, the pilot's body, I should say, found inside that helicopter. It remains upside down there in the Hudson River. This is video shot earlier today showing a little bit of that recovery mission. We saw divers go into the water inside that helicopter. Dive teams, they stay surrounded, and as time goes on, we slowly begin to piece together more and more about what happened here. We've spoken to who we believe are witnesses. We're going to be able to bring you those here soon. We just heard Lori speaking about that. We had a technical difficulty that prevented us from having that, but you stick around with us. We will have more from the people who either saw this or who heard this. Everybody is saying, Christine, like you said, a loud bang. We don't know when, where that bang came from, but there's a good chance it could have been the helicopter hitting the water. That is very likely going to make a loud noise. Witnesses also tell us that it came down quickly. So it was moving at a high rate of speed in what witnesses say was a tailspin with that rotor flying around the backside of the helicopter. This had to be a terrifying final moments for all 6 people on board that helicopter that then, of course, Christine, crashed into the Hudson River.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Alan. Let's discuss quickly this FAA statement that was sent out a bit ago, because they are confirming that this was a Bell 206 helicopter. From what I've been able to gather, this helicopter is manufactured in Quebec. It's 2-bladed, single, and also twin-engine helicopters. We do not know exactly where this helicopter took off from. We also don't know the company that owns this helicopter. What we have been able to determine and confirm with officials here locally is that 6 people were definitely on board, and sadly, all 6 people perished this afternoon in this crash. Now we begin the long and thorough task of investigating what went wrong. We've been talking about what the witnesses have been telling us here this afternoon. We're also awaiting an official news conference from officials. I'm assuming that if the helicopter took off from the New York side, we'll be hearing from New York officials soon. If for any reason it took off from the New Jersey side, or maybe since the crash took place on the New Jersey side, we may also be hearing from some officials in New Jersey as well. But this is a really a lot of information to take in. And we also are seeing heroic efforts once again by our rescue crews that always are on standby, always prepared, and never hesitate to deploy in situations like this. We often see them out training on the Hudson, and this is why. They were out there as quickly as they could get there. We know that there were boats that were deployed immediately once the report of this helicopter went down. We've seen scuba teams, dive teams out there working as quickly as they could to try to rescue the people that were on board this helicopter. From what we can tell in the first pieces of video that we were able to recover from the scene, unfortunately, at first look, that helicopter was already upside down and submerged underwater.
And I'll tell you, Christine, when we first learned of an incident, when it started, it was just an incident on the Hudson River, Lower Manhattan. We had no clue what it was, but we quickly worked our best to figure it out. We had our tower cameras, we had our weather cams around the city zoom in on where we believed the incident was happening, and there was nothing there. We could not see anything there specifically. And actually, I'm gonna cut myself off here. We've got aviation expert Ali Yerman here on the phone, who we were just able to get in right now. Ali, I assume that you have Al Yerman. I assume you've been tuned into what's been happening here over the last hour and a half. Can you walk me through, with all the information that we've gathered so far? Al, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry, Al. Thank you. Thank you for joining us here. I was just saying, with all of the information that we've gathered, and we're getting new updates by the minute, by the second, can you please walk us through what's going through your mind as someone who is very aware of what happens there in the air?
Well, right now, you're limited to the only witnesses' statements we have is a loud sound. A booming sound, usually associated with metal breakage. I don't know if that's what happened here, because I only hear what's being reported. They're going to have to turn that helicopter right side up to see if all the pieces are together with it. The only other thing I could see that's visual is that the floats appear to have deployed, but they don't seem to be inflated.
Oh.
Okay. And just watching the bottom of the helicopter, we're not knowing much right now. There was originally a station reported that some witness saw another helicopter, but I don't see any other helicopters in the area.
Right. Yeah, and Al, that's information that we are working to get more details on. For now, we do understand that it is just one helicopter, is according to NYPD. Al Yerman, thank you so much for chatting with us here. We'll come back to you here in a short while.
Let's go to Ali Bauman now. She is at Pier 26. Ali, what have you been able to determine?
Alan actually moved from Pier 26 over here to Pier 40, where Jennifer Bisram is as well, where there is the massive staging area on the New York City side of this incident. So behind me, we're overlooking the Hudson River. We're across the way towards the Jersey side is where the helicopter actually went down. Over here on the New York side at Pier 40 is where the staging area is happening, where we're expecting that press conference to get some more answers about exactly what happened. Now, over the past few minutes since we've been here, we've seen the city's commissioner of emergency management walking into.
Okay, so I guess they're getting ready for a presser. The weird thing about this is how this helicopter, I mean, I'm not a mechanic or anything, a pilot, whatever. So if somebody knows about this, maybe they could comment, or even Island. I know Island, you used to be on choppers, right? She was in the military. It says moment of crash video shows no rotors and no tail on chopper. It's like that thing was like as if it was like cut off or something. That's just kind of, I don't know, the top portion of the spinning rotors, and then even the back blades or rotors, and the tail, it's just gone. And that sound, it almost looks kind of delayed. I don't know. Or maybe it's just It's just weird. Or maybe something else hit the ground or something. Because the splash, the impact already happened, and then you hear the boom after. Like, I don't know what that was. What was that? And so then there's a witness that says, because I think a couple of people had said something about a boom. And so this dude here, he goes, sonic boom on my right. Manhattan crash eyewitness. I look up and I see a helicopter splitting in two with the rotor flying off. How does a helicopter just like split apart like that? Went straight into the water.
I was like, boom, on my right. So I look up and literally I just see a helicopter splitting in two with the rotor flying off in the sky. It was going so fast and just went straight into the water. Like it was, I've never seen anything like that. Like boom on my right. So I look up and literally I just see a helicopter splitting in two with the rotor flying off in the sky. It was.
I wonder if breaking apart was that sound?
And literally I just see a helicopter splitting in two with the rotor flying off in the sky. It was going so fast and just went straight into the water. Like it was, I've never seen anything like that.
Wow.
Breaking news here in New York City. 6 people we've learned confirmed dead after that helicopter crashed into the Hudson around 3:15 this afternoon. We've been here for several hours now, seeing multiple response units and emergency crews here.
The gift in the Kersey donated $9.99 through
Most of
Super
the
Chat.
activity happening closer
Thanks
to
for their
the
coverage.
Jersey
Nell
side.
Heartbreak,
And
folded
Christine,
hands, Statue of Liberty.
Thank you, the gift and the curse. Thank you for the 10. If you guys have audio issues, just back out and come back. They've been telling me for a while, and then when I stepped away, I was listening on my phone, and for the first time I heard it, I thought it was weird because I've never heard it before on my phone, and it was cutting out. I just backed out and came back, and it was gone. Like, it was fine. Really weird. I don't know what that's about. Okay.
Right inside of Pier 40, that is where all of the city officials, all the top brass here are getting briefed on exactly what happened. We are preparing. We're being told for a press conference that should take place around 5:30. That is just in about 30 minutes or so. And again, that is where we're going to learn more information as to exactly what happened. But again, we learned that it is a tour helicopter, 6 people inside, and early reports that we learned were 3 children inside. The pilot, we're told, was found dead inside of that helicopter. But again, things are very fluid here. We are trying to get more information confirmed to you, and as we get that, we will certainly bring that to you. But again, 6 people dead after a helicopter crashed into the Hudson around 3:15 this afternoon. Again, here, let me have Sean just show you this FDNY boat pulling up to the pier here at this hour. This is not the first one that we have seen pull up here, mainly with the divers getting in and out of that boat, and again heading into this room here where the city officials are currently convening at this moment. Again, we've seen the OEM commissioner, we've seen FDNY. We're told the mayor will be here a short time ago. He has been surveying the area. He was at one particular scene. Hey, if we could have Sean show you some of the firefighters that have just got off here. But again, this is just a testament to show like how many crews have been here. We've seen hundreds of, crews, FDNY workers, divers, first responders here. And again, as we get more information, we will certainly bring that to you. Again, we are awaiting that press conference, and as soon as that happens, you can bet we will bring that to you.
Jane Garnacker now.
All right, Jennifer Bisram reporting for us from the Hudson, the Manhattan side of the Hudson.
And we've got another reporter right now live, Lori Bordenero, who is outside.
So Amy tagged me in this post that's just kind of interesting. And it was this reporter, audio recording of last traffic report. And so this lady, if you look in the description, on October 22nd, 1986, Dornackers was giving one of the station's end chopper traffic reports during the Joey Reynolds show on WNBC in New York City at 4:44 p.m. The End Storm F-28 helicopter she was aboard plunged into the Hudson River from the altitude of roughly 75 feet. Her last words were, "Hit the water, hit the water, hit the water." Wow. The F-28 helicopter nosedive struck the top of a chain link fence at the river pier, crashed into the Hudson River, near the Manhattan shore and sank 15 to 20 feet. Both occupants were trapped for nearly 15 to 20 minutes before help arrived. Thornacker died on her way to the hospital. Wow.
The helicopter. Thank you very much, Joy. There was indeed an accident southbound on the Major Deegan at the Mosholu Parkway, a serious accident involving a tractor-trailer and a car. It has been pushed off to the shoulder, but now watch out there now, because another flatbed truck is going to have to come to clear it, so yield right of way. Northbound on the BQE, we spotted that disabled vehicle in the right-hand lane before the Kiosko, not causing much of a backup, but further northbound there on the BQE, traffic is very heavy past the Kiosko all the way over to the LIE. The outbound Holland Tunnel, extra heavy for you right now. Earlier there was a car fire at Hudson and Canal Street. It has been cleared about heading to New Jersey. The outbound Lincoln Tunnel looks a lot better for you in New Jersey. Get the water! Get the water! Get the water!
Wow.
Okay, we're going to play some music here, I think. Find out what's going on with the helicopter. There's something happening.
Damn, that's eerie as hell to hear that like that.
To New Jersey, the outbound Lincoln Tunnel looks a lot better for you in New Jersey. Get the water! Get the water! Get the water! Okay, we're going to play some music here, I think. Find out what's going on.
Wow. Holy crap.
Above freezing, the rain continues to come down, and just moments ago divers came out of the water. They were checking on that wreckage that remains in the water, and I want to paint a picture for you of what the dock looks like on the other side. If I'll have my photographer Todd just kind of pan over, a truck just came and rode down this entire dock to the end there where you see them. So the investigation is definitely still very, very active. The diver came out of the water just recently. They didn't take anything out with them, but like everyone's been reporting, the witnesses are describing that chopper, the tail spinning out before it going into the water. We did see some debris on where we are now, and we're quite a ways away from where the boats are docked there. We spoke to one woman who described what it was like. She was out jogging earlier this afternoon and heard the loud bang. I'll go ahead and have you have a listen.
The helicopter was a little bit like nose down slightly, and I saw the propeller separating from the helicopter. It kept spinning in the air alone. Nothing was attached to it, and the helicopter just fell. I saw some pieces. I don't know what it is. I thought it was like birds, black birds around. I think it's a piece of the propeller. So probably one of the propeller broke. The other one just flew, and then the helicopter fell in the water. I saw the big sploosh.
So detached.
That investigation continuing this evening. Right now you're looking at a crane that is now set up, and they're looking for something in the water. Of course, we will continue talking to witnesses as we wait to find out what happened and how we got to where we are here today. That is the latest we have
Tail
here
number,
from Jersey City.
I had it. I can post it for you.
In the studio.
Flight
radar
posted
it.
You know, that crane may be headed for that helicopter, but the next job is going to be getting that helicopter out of the water once it's time and to
salvage
continue
the
this
fuselage.
investigation.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. Okay, let's go now back over to the Manhattan side of the Hudson, where several rescue personnel are staging. Allie Bauman is there for us on Pier 40 as well. Allie, have you been able to talk to people that have just been there, you know, their thoughts on what has taken place this afternoon?
Yeah, Christine, we're at the staging area here at Pier 40, where we've been seeing just every department within the New York City area walking in and out here. Just a few moments before we came on air, we watched an FDNY diver boat pull up here to Pier 40, and several divers got off, walked away, had their oxygen tanks and their scuba gear on, their faces just completely fallen and looking so sullen, as we've learned that the 6 people on board that helicopter have died. So we've been seeing them offloading from the boat, offloading from the Hudson here. Now, also within the past few minutes or so, we've been seeing the commissioner of the emergency Office of Emergency Management walking into the building at Pier 40 here. We've been seeing the Deputy Commissioner of Operations for the NYPD walking in here as well. The Office of the Medical Examiner personnel have been here as well, in addition to the mayor, who we were told is on his way here to Pier 40 to join this briefing area and to join the staging area inside the building.
And Linda, I don't know if you have
40 here now. Right now, the NYPD FDNY is really trying to keep the public aware.
Okay, let's see if we get we just switch it up so we get any other information. There's a couple of feeds. We're waiting on a press conference. We're waiting right now.
Aboard that helicopter, all of them are deceased.
CBS, Fox, ABC.
At least one, maybe more than one child was on that plane as well, which would lead you to believe that maybe it was a family. And again, we don't know what this.
All right, so Fox is kind of behind. Because, yeah, we covered, in case you joined, it's a family supposedly from Spain. This was like a tourist type of recreational flight helicopter. And as many people have been talking about reporting, I'm still being tagged. Thank you, Dana. You could see clearly the blade, like the witness said, separated, and it's just like spinning on its own. That's wild to see that like that. Like, and then the pieces around flying and landing. There's nothing that pilot could have done with what happened.
I am hearing that they have pulled the sixth body from the water at this point. So at this stage, I don't know if the divers would remain in the water because, like I said, sources are telling me that there were a total of 6 aboard that helicopter. And then you also have New Jersey State Police, Port Authority, the Coast Guard, the NYPD. On the New York side here, they've got a staging area that's about, say, 20 blocks from where we are right now, 15, 20 blocks from where we are. But they are not too involved in this operation. It was really the FDNY and the Coast Guard and people on the Jersey side responding to this. And you can see over my shoulder, you can see the flashing blue lights that are over there, but there are fewer flashing blue
Negative
lights.
G-dubs?
The last time that you guys came to me, it looked like that there were at least 4 or 5 boats over there with flashing lights, and it's hard for me to actually see because it's across the river. But now you can see there's like maybe 1 or 2 over there on the Jersey side where the lights are still flashing. But when you take a look, well, first of all, JP Tristani, one of the best in the business whenever you want to talk, in addition to our very own Nick Gregory, what a godsend he is in a situation like this and with these type of emergencies, because he is an expert just like JP. So you couldn't be talking to 2 better people when you talk about either a chopper crash or anything involving a plane. But when you look at that video and just see the body of that helicopter plummet, just drop into the Hudson River, I've never seen anything like that before. And then you see the propeller just flying, flipping around, and it's separated from the helicopter. And that's what I had heard, that the propeller had broken off of the helicopter and had split in half.
Yeah. It's a great point that you make, Linda. We talked to JP. He said that, Nick, that this is something that's extraordinary. It's very rare for that to happen. Just kind of paint the picture.
If indeed the whole head came off, that is very extraordinary. I mean, that's a huge failure, because you got to think about this. The giant, the rotor head, and then the 2 blades that stick out from the middle. So potentially flipping one blade. Also, again, not a particularly common occurrence. It has happened. But for the whole, if indeed the whole head separated, I mean, that's just, I don't know of another, I haven't read of anything like that have ever happening. And maybe we're just sort of, again, speculating based on what it looks like on this video, where you see the
you can
the
still
blades
see it spinning.
Spinning, exactly. Yeah. And is it 1 blade or 2 blades? Again, it's hard. It looks like it's.
I mean, it looks like the whole thing.
Like it's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Just spinning around.
It's I mean, it's interesting to think, how did the propeller come off, and then the body of the helicopter went down so fast, and that thing would sort of stayed up in the air a little bit longer and came down pretty far away. And I think to touch on a point Linda made, which I think is a good point to make right now. Obviously, we're seeing 6 people dead. You can see, for all intents and purposes, the rescue effort is over, the recovery's over, the rescuers are out of the water. All we see left is that helicopter, that doomed helicopter upside down in the Hudson. We know 3 children among those being reported of the 6 people killed. Just a horrible tragedy. Likes of which we have not seen around here in a long time. I see my colleague Jessica Formosa. She's at Pier 40 by the river. What's things looking like from your perspective, Jess?
Yeah, so you guys just mentioned that it seems like the recovery is over, and that's exactly what we've been seeing since we arrived here. Divers coming out of the water, FDNY, NYPD, a boat just, docked over here on this side, and they came out. So, yeah, what Linda and what you guys have been saying, it seems like the rescue is now over, and sadly, I can report now from a police source here on scene that 3 children were on board that helicopter that went down here on the Hudson. Just sad news to report. We know that there were some adults as well. My source couldn't specifically say if it was a family, but from reports out there and what Linda was saying, it seems like that's what it was. We're trying to get more information. We're waiting for FDNY to hold a presser in the next 30 minutes or so. That's what we're being told. But here, the scene, you can see ambulances, FDNY, the city management team also arrived here on scene. We have some FDNY paramedics here leaving as I speak. But like I said, we now know 6 people were on board that helicopter. 3 of them were children. Of course, we're waiting for that press conference to start so we can get more information as to were these Americans, were these tourists, is this a family? So we're hoping to get those answers for you guys as soon as possible. But here, sadly to say that we have seen the divers come out of the water, so the recovery efforts is now over.
Yeah, no, a sad milestone in this effort, which is not even 2 hours old. Jessica, thank you.
Okay. Wow. And I'm thinking, too, the way that helicopter fell down, or crashed, they were probably in there being tossed all over the place and alive right until impact into the water. It's crazy. So waiting on the press conference, 6 people confirmed deceased and pulled out. I think they were pulling out the last body, which I believe they said it was like the pilot. And it's a lot of people to go out, especially in a helicopter crash. I initially was thinking 1 or 2 people, maybe, not like a whole family. So I guess we're just waiting for the press conference then. I'm going to see if I can find any feeds. I'm sure these news stations will switch over, but
that's probably what they were referencing.
Wow.
Dan, I'm going to ask a question, and I hope you don't think it's a crazy one. But we hear a lot about bird strikes in aviation. Would something like that cause a full main rotor system to collapse?
Again, I will preface by saying I am not a pilot, a mechanic, what have you. But from what I understand, these helicopters are designed to be able to absorb something like a bird strike. I'll be honest, I've had a couple of bird strikes over the years on the helicopter. They don't typically get into the main rotor blades on the top of the helicopter, but there are pieces. There are many components that should keep the main rotor system in place. You might get a little ding on a blade, but it shouldn't separate. And even then,
probably you're right about that.
A bird could damage the blade at the speed it's going. But typically, a bird strike would hit the fuselage of the helicopter, hit the canopy in the front, maybe bounce off some of the housing below the main rotor system. But typically, I've never heard of that happen.
So Dan, I know everything. We're just discussing possibilities at this point, and we're still working. We do not have a confirmed cause of this crash here, but you raise a significant question. If what you are seeing in being told comes up to be confirmed, what in the world would cause such a catastrophic meltdown of the primary systems of a helicopter to force it to crash into a river in this manner? What would, if it's not a bird strike, What could it be?
See, that's the part I cannot speculate on because I have a hard time imagining. Obviously, I don't want to think about it. I can't imagine. I'm trying to think back to the various incidents we've seen over the years. I can't say I've ever seen an incident where such a major component of the helicopter has separated with no other aircraft or some other component hitting it. So I can't even begin to imagine, if this is true, how they would have lost the main rotor system. That one's a head scratcher for me. I don't know how that could have happened.
All right. Dan Rice, we appreciate everything you do for us here at CBS News New York. I know this is a tough day for the aviation community. It's a tough day for New Jersey and New York as well. Thank you for chatting with us here. We'll be back with you in a short little bit as we get more information about what actually caused this crash.
Yeah, Dan, thanks for joining us. If you learn of any new information, please let the newsroom know. Thanks.
Wow. There's more details are coming out by the minute, by the second. And I believe now we've got meteorologist Rob Marciano, who can give us more perspective on the
talk
details.
about the weather conditions, Rob. Yeah. I mean, I know that we're expecting some rain, but also wondering, did wind play a role? Could it have played a role? And also, obviously, the temperatures in the Hudson River.
Wind, not an issue, really. It was variable, 18, 21 miles per hour. Overcast conditions, visibility, 10 miles, so that's good. Air temperature, 46. So, visual flight rules, this is not a problem at all. So this is obviously a mechanical thing. With water temperature at 50 degrees, that's survivable, for enough time with enough people on both sides here to get any sort of survivor. So weather, not much of an issue. I'll say this about the tides. We have an incoming tide now. Obviously, the Hudson flows out. That does create some turbulence within the water. So that's some of the things that those scuba divers are having to deal with. Water temperature, 50 degrees, at the very least in a dry wetsuit, likely in a dry suit. High tide is going to be at about 7:30, 8 o'clock tonight. This time of year, the water is relatively clear. If this were to happen in the summertime, it would be a little bit more murky. But obviously now we're starting to see the weather begin to deteriorate as they continue this operation. So rain is going to start to increase. It's not going to get heavy, but it's just going to be enough to be a bit of a nuisance. And with temperatures that are falling into the lower to mid 40s, you're talking about things that it's just not very pleasant out there. The heavy stuff is well to our west, so it's going to be pretty much just very, very light, any sort of measurable rain here in the next 6 hours, where I would imagine that's the bulk of this salvage operation is going to occur. Should not be enough to have a.
I don't know if any of the pilot guys are working on a video. There's some plane channels that I watch, pilot people that I watch sometimes. Some of them, sometimes they jump on early and they give some preliminary thoughts. But yeah, this does look like some type of mechanical error. Unless the pilot was doing something crazy that caused it, it looks like mechanical. The way it was just detached like that. I've never seen something like that either. The way the helicopter crashed into the water. Oh, they posted this guy now.
News from Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
We are coming on the air right now with breaking news. Emergency crews are.
Let's just skip to the witness. There we go.
One of those eyewitnesses, Max Conru, if you could just step over here, Max. And I understand, thank you for joining us. I understand you were out running, enjoying your run. And then tell me a little bit about what you heard and what you saw.
Yeah, I was running. I had my podcast in, enjoying myself. And then I hear it sounded like a sonic boom on my right. So I look up and literally I just see a helicopter splitting in two with the rotor flying off in the sky. It was going so fast and just went straight into the water, and nothing came up afterwards. It must have just sunk, and that was it. And then I just waited here, and 5 minutes later we started seeing the police and stuff come. So it's nice to see there's a really good response, but I've never seen anything like that in my life.
And as you waited, we should know somebody else was calling the police to let them know, and the police had said, yes, we understand that something had happened. It was on the Jersey City side. Hard to make out exactly what's happening. I can see about 6-7 police boats over there, and we see some helicopters also hovering. Were you able to see anything, any sort of signs of somebody trying to make it out?
No, I mean, there were ferries that went earlier, but like I haven't seen anything. I don't know why there would still be boats if they had pulled anyone out. A helicopter's been there for better part of 20 minutes now, and I haven't seen them lower or anything, so I don't know. I mean, from my opinion, it just went straight to the bottom, and like you'd have to pull people out that way. It just happened so fast.
And that noise, how would you describe that noise you heard? Did you think it was maybe construction or?
Yeah, for me, I just thought it was going to be like city noise, like a crash or like maybe like a jet going overhead. I know that's probably not common, but yeah, just like a big bang on my right, and then like a whoop whoop as you see the propeller like flying off like up way higher than the helicopter and just land straight in the water.
So it's separated from the actual body of the helicopter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like maybe the tail separated too, but I think definitely the rotor separated and the body went straight into the water. So something must have happened with the rotor and it just flipped right off.
And I think fair to say that if you do run in this area or you take use of the pathways here, you often see these helicopters. We don't know what kind of helicopter it was, if it was a sightseeing helicopter, but there are a fair number of those, and they do fly pretty close to the water. So did you think, gosh, I mean, you probably were hoping that not too many people were on there.
I hope so. I mean, I know that those tourist helicopters carry a lot of people, and I have no idea how like the craftsmanship of them, but like it seemed like it was flying fairly low to the water to be able to like break into and go into the water that quickly, because it wasn't that much of a dive when I was looking and seeing what was happening.
Max, we really appreciate your account of what you saw and sharing the details with us. We thank you so much for joining us live on TV right now.
Thank you very much.
Feet they have to fly, or perhaps higher if that's actually available. So that's something that you have to deal with. I wouldn't say the risks are any more or less flying over land or over water. Obviously, over water, if you go into the water in a controlled environment, you have to worry about exposure in the cold. If you go over land, then you have to worry about are you going to come down possibly on, are you going to impact the ground hard? Are you going to run into a telephone pole or a tree or other thing which could make your descent go out of control? So really, it's just a question of, the situation you're in. Both are, I would say, it's not risky to fly a helicopter. It's not necessarily risky to fly a helicopter over land or over water. When something goes wrong is when you actually need to have those trained emergency procedures ready to go for whatever happens. So say if they lost engine power, he would have had enough torque left in the rotor blades to basically bring the aircraft down over land, but he had no rotor. So there's just nothing they could do.
I want to circle back to just talk a little bit more about what happened. How did this happen? What caused
Island Thrifts donated $9.99
what appears to
through
be
Super Chat.
a malfunction
Mass
from what we
bumping
can tell,
happens
at
when
least
load is
so
too
far.
much and can cause rotor
based
system
on
to
your
snap off.
experience,
Mass bumping happens when the load is too much and can cause your rotor system to snap off. Really? Mass bumping. You gotta look that up.
Between the rotor blades right there on the shaft to basically separate the rotors. And while that's theoretically possible, I don't know of any bird that would, number one, be so perfectly placed as to get through the blades and the helicopter and impact with such incredible force for a tourist helicopter that's probably only going maybe 30, 40 miles an hour to cause that to happen, which leaves one of two different options. Number one, there was a material failure. Something physically broke in the shaft, something physically broke in one of the blades that would cause a massive vibration that would have essentially caused the rotor to shake itself apart. That's one. Or two, something just came loose. Something wasn't fixed properly. Something wasn't attached properly. Or perhaps one of the fasteners actually failed that caused, say, a blade to actually come apart. In which case, now what they're going to do is they're going to look at when was the last time the aircraft was maintained? What was the last inspection? What came out? Did they have any problems with that shaft in the past? Were there any problems with the engine? Did they just replace the rotor blades? If they found a material failure, then they're going to want to go back and look at the rest of the Bell 206 helicopters, which may have those same parts, to see if they're actually safe. The Bell 206 is actually a very safe helicopter. It's been around for a very long time.
Very safe.
It has a very good, solid safety record, and is exceptionally adept for these kinds of purposes. So,
you know, when I'm about ready to take a flight, when I'm about ready, after I've boarded, sometimes if I'm sitting next to the window, I notice the pilots like outside checking out, the airplane, looking at the tires, looking at the landing gear. What is standard operating procedure, if you can tell us, when it comes to helicopters? Are pilots usually sort of checking things? Is there a protocol in place?
Absolutely, and it's not just the pilot; it's the ground maintainers, especially for something that this is a commercial helicopter, because people are paying to go fly on that helicopter. So what are they doing? They're going to check the tail rotor. Are all the fasteners there? Is it properly attached? Are all the skin panels properly attached? Or is the pedostatic tubes, for air temperature and those kinds of things, are they free of debris? Are there any cracks in the window? Are there any leaks? Do you see any visible fluids? Kinds of things. And the maintainers, they're checking the engine. When's the last time the engine was serviced? The pilot's reading the maintenance logbook. When was the last time it was serviced? How much oil is there? How much fuel do I have? So it is a combined effort between the pilot and the folks who actually maintain that helicopter to actually go and check these kinds of things. If it was a material failure or something that was well inside the aircraft, nobody would have seen that on a pre-flight inspection. I don't believe that they would have.
And Captain, I want to remind our viewers we are still waiting on a press conference update from the mayor that could be happening at any moment. So if we have to cut you off, I apologize in advance. But when that happens, we will go right to that. In the meantime, though, another question for you here. The Bell 206, it's been around for, I think, 80 years.
Titanic of helicopters.
You can correct me if I'm wrong. What kind of information will this helicopter, even in its current state, be able to provide investigators as to why it went down? I know it may or may not have what a lot of people recognize as a black box, but there are other forms of recording, altitude, engines, fuselage, like you said. What else on board could help everybody kind of piece this one together?
Well, the aircraft would have a transponder. It would have what's called ADS-B, I believe. Most aircraft have that, which is a method of basically broadcasting outside of the aircraft. This is as fast as I'm going. This is my altitude. This is who I am. And then, some vehicles also have a way of sucking in that information. You would have air traffic control. It would be on radar, so they would cross-check what air traffic control was showing on its radar and transponder with what the aircraft was reporting. And then at that point, it's also a question of what was the position of the flight controls, the position of the cyclic and the stick and the controls basically that the pilot had. Of course, it's possible that it might have changed depending on what the aircraft is, but some of these systems may have a computer that is recording this data that could actually be recovered and pulled out. So it's really going to kind of depend on the configuration of this aircraft. But really what they're going to be doing is once they pull that aircraft out, then they're going to take a look and see what happened at the top. Look at a clean break, or if they see something that was actually wrenched. As hard as that aircraft hit the water, it wouldn't be necessarily something so powerful that I think it would actually break the shaft. So if you see the shaft is actually broken or torn, the engineers will know what kind of stresses would cause what kind of damage. So really, that's going to be your first thing. They're going to pull it out. They're going to take a look at it, because if there is some kind of material failure, which could be systemic to other parts or some other maintenance procedure that was not followed properly, which could have possibly been done on other helicopters, they need to know that as soon as possible.
All right. Armin Kurdian, retired captain with the U.S. Navy. Thank you for your insight. You've been very helpful to help us understand the different possible scenarios and what is next to come. We do appreciate your time.
Certainly. Have a nice day.
We're now going to continue our breaking news coverage here with Allie Bauman. She's been live right now on Pier 40. She's got some new information for us. Allie, what are you learning?
What we got? Where's the
Yeah,
press
Alan and
conference?
Christine, they're getting ready to set up the press conference right behind me, which I'm sure we're going to take live any minute as soon as it starts. But just some new information that I'm learning from sources at this hour, that the 6 victims included a family from Spain. Now, that is excluding the pilot who was flying that plane, a tourism plane, or tourism helicopter, I should say, excuse me, a tourism helicopter that was flying over here. But I'm told that the other 5 victims were a family from Spain. Now, we have learned earlier that that includes at least 2 children and the 3 adults, all of which have died. So that's new information that we're getting just at this hour from sources from City Hall. We're waiting on that press conference that I'm told should start any minute now as soon as Mayor Adams arrives in his place behind me at the end of pier there. So Alan and Christine, that's the latest from right here.
All right, Allie Bauman reporting for us from Pier 40. Thank you, Allie. We'll be returning to that area once the news conference gets underway. In the meantime, our investigative team has been digging into some details here since this crash took place. Let's bring in investigator Tim McNicholas. And Tim, I know that you've been looking more into the company, into the plane. What have you been able to learn?
So a source familiar with the investigation has confirmed to us that this was a Bell 206 and that it's owned by a company called Meridian Helicopters. That's an LLC out of Louisiana. So that company, their website and their Facebook page say that they're a helicopter brokerage. So what does that mean? Well, they say that they sell helicopters, they lease helicopters, and they refurbish helicopters. They also say that they do pre-buy inspections on helicopters. And I want to point out that just because they're the owner, the registered owner of this helicopter, doesn't mean they were the operator. So we're still looking into information on who is operating this. We don't know anything about that at this point. Flight path data on this particular aircraft shows that at least over the past week, it has been flying to and from heliports and airports in our area. So it's taking multiple flights per day, by the way. Some of those flights are between one Manhattan heliport and another heliport. Some of those flights are between JFK and Newark. Some of them are between those airports and the heliport. We have reached out to Meridian Helicopters, and we haven't heard back yet.
But for the past few days, all local trips,
Multiple
little
flights
jumps
a day.
here and there.
Yes, often between one heliport and another. So very local, very small trips. And sometimes they go out to the airports as well.
Do we have any information on this trip? A takeoff point, intended destination at any point?
Well, I heard Allie Bauman report actually earlier that it took off, at least on this particular trip, from Lower Manhattan. So that was yet another small trip in that instance as well, as far as we know.
All right, Tim, we'll let you get back to work. And when you get some more information, we'll see you back here.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go out to Lori Bordenero now. She's been talking with people who actually heard the crash and also looking there in the aftermath of what has happened. She joins us now once again from Jersey City. Lori?
And Christine, we talked to one man a little bit earlier who told us he was just looking out his window and he actually saw that helicopter just descend very quickly into the river. But I want to show you actually what's going on here right now. You can see the FDNY Marine units. They're out here on the water. And also you can see that yellow boat there with the crane that they are getting ready to take that helicopter out of the water. You can see it right there by the pier. Divers have been going in and out of the water. There are emergency crews and ambulances there on standby. We have seen some debris, what appears to be parts from the helicopter floating in the water here. One witness we spoke with tells us he actually saw a broken rotor from the helicopter. Everyone here telling us the same thing, that they heard a loud boom, something unusual that sounded more like an explosion. Take a listen.
From my window, I just saw like the black parts of the helicopter probably fly off of it. And I guess I was just hearing from some other people too that it was probably like parts of the propeller or something.
They're always flying around here, always super low. And I saw some ferries still like riding in the water, so I didn't think anything happened in the water either.
And again, back here live, you can see the FDNY boats as this investigation is underway. At this point, we don't know yet what went wrong here, but again, a catastrophic event here on the Hudson River. We'll send it back to you.
Lori, I know that as the day's gone on, the mood has changed for a lot of people who may be out there watching this whole thing unfold. At first, we were hoping we would see rescue missions. We then learned about the fatalities. What is the mood there where you're at, with the people nearby, with investigators, with NYPD? Set the scene for us.
Yeah, Ellen, a lot of people here in this neighborhood just sort of milling about here. They're standing on the waterfront, just sort of want to see what's going on. There's a little bit of a somber feeling here. People here tell us that they're used to hearing these helicopters daily, but again, they heard something unusual this time around. It was a little bit frightening.
Almost time for the press conference.
At first, and of course now hearing what happened, certainly a very sad feeling here in this neighborhood. Back to you.
And Lori, our viewers at home, you can't see it, but our viewers at home can see we do have the live image up of the press conference we're waiting on right now. We are still waiting on the officials to actually take that podium there and update us with the latest that they have. That's something that they said was going to be coming around 5:30. But of course, there's a lot of information that they're trying to piece together right now, Christine.
Absolutely. Folks, if you're just joining us at home, if you're just getting home from running errands, picking up your children, coming back from practice, coming back from work.
So that video of the helicopter that looked out of control, somebody went and found it. It's from six years ago. So this video, where the helicopter does like a dive like that, this particular one is from a different incident. Okay. Somebody said this video was from 6 years ago, not today's accident. Helicopter crashed into a building in Midtown Manhattan at 51st and 7th. Here's the footage. So that was years ago, that particular one.
19, the pilot said that he was actually trying to land, and then he felt something wrong, and then crashed when he tried to pull up.
Okay, hold on. Let's hear that again, that part.
The link actually on really 6 years ago, the pilot was.
Oh, that's the same one. Yeah, what are the coincidences? That's the same one that we're talking about.
In the Hudson River happened nearly 6 years ago. The pilot was the only one actually on board that survived the crash. This happened near the Lincoln Tunnel on May 15th of 2019. The pilot said that he was actually trying to land, and then he felt something wrong, and then crashed when he tried to pull up.
And on March 11th, 2018, 5 people were killed when their charter helicopter went down in the East River that time. The pilot survived. It was an open-door flight, and that crash led to legislation and an eventful ban on open-door helicopter flights here in the city.
And then taking another look here, a little bit deeper dive into all of the incidents that have taken place here locally. In October of 2011, a woman died when a helicopter crashed into the East River. Rescuers there arrived to find 2 men, as you can see here from this file video from our archives, clinging to that overturned chopper. The pilot and the 3 passengers all survived.
And then going back to August 2009, a sightseeing helicopter carrying Italian tourists collided with a private plane over the Hudson River, killing 9 people on board that time. We're getting audio for the first responders being dispatched from the scene. I believe this just got into our newsroom. We're going to take a listen in on this really quick.
Special Traffic Service New York has received a report of a helicopter crash in vicinity of the Holland Tunnel vents on the New Jersey side.
Yeah, I've located the choppers north of the vents right here, right where I'm sitting. It's upside down in the water here.
All traffic into the North River, coming out of the North River, is to be diverted.
On the NYPD boat off the Holland Tunnel vents, it looked like a section of it went down a little bit further to the north, closer towards like the statue with the tail section almost.
So that is information, the exact conversations that law enforcement were having back and forth as they tried to piece together what happened there in the Hudson. We heard them recall seeing the helicopter upside down in the water. They spoke it was there near the Holland Tunnel vents. This is all information, of course, we've been able to confirm here over the last couple of hours. At that moment, of course, law enforcement was unaware of how many were on board, the condition of the people on board. The first ones that got there were other boats and tourists and the sightseeing boats in the area there. NYPD came shortly after.
Yeah, but the last recording that we heard there, Alan, is of particular interest because the operator mentions that other parts of that helicopter are in another area, saying that it was more towards the statue. So these reports of disengaged. It fell off the actual body of the helicopter, and then the cabin of that helicopter crashed near the Holland Tunnel vents. If you're watching here at home, and if you do take ferry service, there has been some ferries schedules that have needed to change as a result of the activity that's going on in the Hudson. So a mile north and south of the crash site has now been cut off by the Coast Guard. And then, of course, some local streets here on the Manhattan side and on the Jersey side are also closed due to emergency personnel. You can still see here that some officials are still getting everything set for this news conference. You can see the line of microphones as well that have been set up. This appears to be being set up at Pier 40. We do know that the mayor is there, and you can surely bet that the fire commissioner and fire chief is there, and also the police commissioner. They will be discussing all of the details that they know so far. But this is going to go down as a very sad day here in the city and also in New Jersey, as we have unfortunately witnessed 6 people lose their lives when they took off from where we believe to be Lower Manhattan, a helipad in Lower Manhattan. We don't know the circumstances of their flight. All we know is that there were 6 people on board. It appears 2 of them were children, and they have all now been confirmed dead. We do see the wreckage still in the river, and we do see the equipment that has now been pulled in. You can see that massive crane that is now taking its position, and we can see there that it is right near the main body of the helicopter, and they will then be bringing it up out of the water for inspection. We do see some officials there at the podium. It looks as though things will be getting underway at any moment as they continue to give final details. And I do believe that it sounds like somebody is going to be speaking soon. You do see Mayor Adams there. And let's go ahead and listen in.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm joined here today with Mayor Eric Adams, Deputy Mayor for Administration Camille Joseph Varlak, the Fire Commissioner, Robert Tucker, the Police Commissioner, Jessica Tisch, and the Emergency Management Commissioner, Zach Iskel. We are here on the scene at Pier 40 on the west side of Manhattan, where earlier today a passenger helicopter crashed into the Hudson River. Our response was swift and coordinated. We have the FDNY, the NYPD, the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner here on the scene assisting with rescue efforts. New York City Office of Emergency Management was coordinating efforts on the ground with our public safety agencies. As our state and federal partners, including the FAA, the Port Authority, and the United States Coast Guard, the National Transportation Safety Board, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and our partner agencies in New Jersey. When an emergency like this happens and strikes, this team responds with expert speed and professionalism. I want to thank all of our brave first responders for assisting in the rescue efforts and the ongoing investigation into this tragedy. For more information, I would like to turn it over to Mayor Eric Adams.
Thanks so much, DM Daughtry. Our hearts go out to the family of those who were on board and all 6 who were on board of the helicopter. It's almost reminiscence of the plane going down here on the Hudson River, but thank God we didn't lose any lives back then. We still fresh and it's still new. The investigation is ongoing, and we have the entire family members. We're lifting them up in prayer. Here's what we know at this time. At approximately 3:17 this afternoon, we began receiving multiple calls for a helicopter that crashed in the water. These calls generated the response of many agencies, as Deputy Mayor Daughtry stated, including FDNY, NYPD, the Port Authority, and our Jersey partners, the police officers in Jersey as well, and the Coast Guard. 3 adults and 3 children were on board a Bell 206 helicopter that had left from the downtown Skyport just about 3 p.m. The pilot and the family visiting from Spain, what our preliminary information has at this time. Members of the FDNY and NYPD harbor units arrived at the scene, and divers from both agencies entered the water. At this time, all 6 victims have been removed from the water, and sadly, all 6 victims have been pronounced deceased. Again, we're praying for the families and our gratitude to the rescuers and the courage that was displayed in their dedication. I will now turn it over to Fire Commissioner Tucker.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. As the mayor said, at approximately 3:15 this afternoon, numerous calls were received for a helicopter crash in the Hudson River. We have FDNY assets right up the road here, and we launched our boats immediately. This operation was a joint operation between the FDNY and the NYPD. Our rescue swimmers were in the water shortly after the call and recovered some of the victims. We worked very closely with the NYPD divers on this, and I think this tragic day does indicate just how the spirit of cooperation between the NYPD and the FDNY is alive on the streets and in the water. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon. The mayor covered most of it, but perhaps I have a few details to add here. Obviously, this is an ongoing investigation, and all information that we'll provide is preliminary and subject to change. At approximately 3:17 this afternoon, multiple 911 calls started coming in reporting a helicopter crash in the Hudson River near the New Jersey coastline off the coast of River Drive in Hoboken. NYPD units from aviation, harbor, scuba, and patrol all responded, with our first units arriving at the site within minutes. Our NYPD divers entered the water along with rescue personnel from FDNY, Port Authority, and various New Jersey agencies. According to the manifest, aboard the helicopter were 6 people, 1 pilot, 2 adults, and 3 children. NYPD divers pulled 4 people from the crash site, and FDNY divers recovered an additional 2. Immediate life-saving measures were undertaken on the vessels at the scene, as well as the adjoining pier. 4 victims were pronounced dead on scene, and 2 more were removed to local area hospitals, where sadly both succumbed to their injuries. Names are being withheld at this time, pending family notification. Here is what we know about the flight, and this is based on flight tracking software. A Bell 206 helicopter flying for the tour company New York Helicopters took off from the downtown Manhattan heliport at 2:59 p.m. The aircraft flew south before turning to fly north along the Manhattan shoreline up the Hudson River. At 3:08 p.m., the helicopter reached the George Washington Bridge and then turned again to fly south along the New Jersey shoreline. Shortly thereafter, the aircraft lost control and hit the water just a few feet off the coast of Pier A Park in Hoboken. The cause of the crash is currently under investigation.
All right. Take a few questions. Go ahead. Can you give us the ages, please, of all the occupants?
We don't have that information at this time, and we're holding it to a complete investigation.
Go ahead.
Could you tell us about the recovery?
One at a time, please, Mark.
Could you tell us about the recovery of the helicopter? Is the helicopter submerged in the water? How did divers find it?
I'm sorry, Sin?
How did divers find the helicopter? Is it submerged, and what happened now with the recovery?
The helicopter hit the water, we believe, inverted, and it was the cabin piece was visible above the water.
Mark, go ahead.
Do you know why the family was in town? Were they on vacation?
No, still preliminary investigation.
Jen, any background on the pilot? Any past incidents with him before? Perhaps anything with the crash?
It's still, as you see, this is fresh. All this is preliminary, and we're going to look into that.
Time for two more. Go ahead. Do you have any idea of how old the helicopter was, the age of it? And also, we had witnesses telling us that the helicopter seemed to stop in midair, and there were pieces of the helicopter falling off before it actually hit the water. Have you heard of that? Do you know why? As part of this investigation?
Nobody knows.
Yeah, I think the entire incident is under investigation by the NTSB and the FBI and obviously local authorities as well.
Is that something that you have seen or you have heard witness accounts of?
It's consistent with 911 calls and witness reports.
Last question, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask the genders of the people that were on the call, the children especially.
Still an investigation. We want to be cautious about releasing any information until we're able to notify family members and the communication with the consulate.
Yeah. And before we close, just lastly, when myself and Commissioner Tucker arrived on the Jersey side of the Hudson River, we were met by the first responders and they told us they did everything they can to try to save these victims. And you can see the trauma in their face. They did everything they can, and they wanted me to make sure that I made that public. They really tried their hardest. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Wow.
All right, you can definitely hear the sorrow in our city leaders' voices. We saw it in their faces. This is a sad day here in our city. They are confirming that a pilot and a family visiting here from Spain all died in this helicopter crash this afternoon in the Hudson River. And what the NYPD commissioner there shared with us is it sounded as though, according to flight technology data that they were able to gather, sounded like a tour of the city to look at the skyline. She talked about how it was going south and then it turned north to go up to the GW Bridge, and then it turned south again to look at the Jersey Shore side of the Hudson and to see what that side of the Hudson looks like. And sadly, that is where something happened. And what that is, we do not know at this hour, but it was something very catastrophic, according to witnesses, and also according to one emergency call that we heard from the operators talking to each other. One of those calls did mention that there were other parts of that helicopter that were separated from the actual body of the aircraft, which is now what you see here in this live picture right off of Hoboken.
Exactly. And another interesting point of something they just said, a lot of details that we were able to bring you all here in the last couple of hours, but they referenced the flight took off around 2:59 p.m. and those calls started coming in at about 3:17. That's according to the mayor and Commissioner Tisch. This was less than a 20-minute flight in the air before something went horribly, horribly wrong. And based on the information we just got from that press conference, along with some of the information from witnesses and what they've been saying and speaking to, it does appear, Christine, like you just said, that something catastrophic happened in the air that caused this helicopter to break up before it hit the water. For there to be something, a piece of the chopper not falling right where the rest of the fuselage was, where the main cabin was, that shows something terrible happened there. We've got our reporter now, Allie Bauman, out there at Pier 40. She's live there for us. Allie, anything going on from what we just heard out of that press conference?
I don't know.
Yeah, Alan, as you mentioned, that press conference just wrapped up. We're now seeing those city officials leaving Pier 40 here. I'm going to have them pan over to you, going back into the building at Pier 40 and walking out towards the main area. Now, to recap what we learned in that press conference, that was the mayor speaking, the police commissioner, the FDNY commissioner, the deputy commissioner of operations for the NYPD, saying, of course, that their hearts go out to that family that was on board, that family of 5 tourists from Spain, we've learned, 3 children and 2 adults in the family, and then the pilot as well. So that brings the total to 3 children and 3 adults on the helicopter. All of them have passed. Now, The mayor said that it was a Bell 206 helicopter that left from a downtown Skyport at around 3 p.m., going on a tour of, over New York City, as so many do. The commissioner was
live shot,
my notes as I was standing over there at the press conference. The NYPD commissioner was saying that according to the manifest on board, it appears that Bell 206 was operating with New York Helicopters Tour Company, and it had taken off at around 3 o'clock. It flew south before going north at 3:08 p.m. The commissioner says that the helicopter reached the George Washington Bridge, then turned to fly south, and that's when she said the helicopter appears to have lost control and hit the water feet off of the coast of Hoboken on the Jersey side of the Hudson River. And within minutes.
So Sean tagged me and says he's pretty sure this was the helicopter, New York helicopter. Oh. Long Ranger. That is, I don't know if it's the same exact one though. The numbers on it, NYA 9A1 9001, but it's the same model. Long Ranger 4, same type of helicopter. Yeah. There's no audio for it, by the way. I don't think there is. Ah. Is that you, Sean, inspecting the helicopter? That would be what the inside looks like.
See here from this map that gives you a better idea of exactly where the crash happened, and then now these live pictures of the scene where you can still see NYPD and also FDNY water vessels still at the scene. The body of the helicopter is still submerged in the Hudson. They did bring in a giant crane that is on top of a boat, and they will then be recovering the fuselage of the helicopter.
Yeah, that was a really quick. They responded really fast. They got all the bodies out pretty fast too. This is what mast bumping is. This is what Island was talking about. Man, that's scary, man. It's scary. I mean, I still don't understand. The top rotor on the back was completely detached off of the helicopter. Shit, man. Yeah, we just got done covering the two planes. Well, one of them that hit the other plane, but no injuries with that. This one is, 6 people deceased. Crazy, 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 man. Seems like it's just, I don't know, man. A lot of stuff happening this year. All right. I'm going to jump off for now. I need to take a little break. But I will be back later if anything pops off. I do have a few short videos that I want to post too. Condolences to the family. And rest in peace too to the kids passed away. Crazy, 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 crazy. Weird. Newsmax. Oh yeah, I'll show the video one more time before I head out too, for the people that missed it. Newsmax.
American COVID emergency.
I don't see it, but maybe I'll have to just put it up here. Helicopter crash. This is the main one that's going around. Pieces. I just broke apart in the air. apart midair. Here's the other one that shows like the rotor thing. Helicopter already had hit. Helicopter was already in the water. The top part flies. Pieces falling different places. Wow. Oh, Burris was Captain Scully? Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I know, yeah, he did land on the Hudson. Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right. Thank you guys, man. Appreciate you. Be safe. Take care. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, okay? Be safe. Bloop, bloop, bloop.